Well, the new 2024 January drops for LEGO Marvel have been revealed, so let's get into it. We're going to start with the cheapest sets and work our way up, but I gotta tell you guys, I think this might be one of the worst LEGO Marvel waves ever. Up first, we have four keychains: Spider-Man, Loki, Ghost Spider, Spider-Gwen, and Groot. These will be $5.99 and pretty much only obtainable at the LEGO store or LEGO Parks, and they're fine. I mean, they're $6. I do think they're cool. I'll pick up all four, but, it is what it is. Next up, we have the $10 Motorcycle Chase Spider-Man vs. Doc Ock. Now, this set is interesting. It's got 77 pieces and 2 minifigs, and this does kick off our trend for these sets of Venomized villains. Now, look, $10 is hard to argue with, right? It's barely any money when it comes to LEGO sets, and the set itself is fine, but we do get a repeated Spider-Man. We get a Spider-Man vehicle, which has never made sense to me. Like, he's one of the characters that doesn't need a vehicle because he can swing everywhere. And we get Doc Ock, who is half Venomized. Now, I do have some problems with this. It is the classic Doc Ock we've been getting for the last several years, and the torso just has half of a Venom logo on it, and the face has half of a Venom logo, but if we look at the back of the box, you can see that there's an alternate face where Doc Ock has been fully Venomized. I'm not into this, guys. I just don't get this trend. Funko a couple years ago did a whole line of Venomized characters, but when they did that, at least the entire body was Venomized, so you did get a completely new concept. Here, it's like LEGO is only giving us half of that, and I really just can't get into it. It doesn't excite me. I just don't really see the point of it. The other thing I have to comment on is when you look at a character that's half Venomized, okay, we're getting a brand new torso and a brand new head. And LEGO always tells us that they can't do like leg printing or arm printing because it uses up spaces for, new torsos and new heads and things like that. So basically, think of all the Marvel characters we haven't gotten yet, like Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four, a plethora of X-Men, tons of Spider-Man villains like Mr. Negative, and I'll just stop the list there, but all of those would technically only require a new head print and a new torso print, because we never get leg printing with LEGO Marvel anyways, and they could just reuse any head or helmet piece, so it officially really ticks me off that we're not getting new figures, we're just getting like variants of characters we've already gotten, so just sit with that for a minute and tell me what you think about that. As we climb up the ladder, we've got a $15 War Machine mech armor with 154 pieces and a brand new War Machine minifig. Now, I do like this a lot because, again, it's hard to argue with $15, and getting a brand new War Machine that's a lot more comics-based is pretty awesome. I'm not a huge fan of the mechs, but if somebody's going to get a mech, War Machine makes a lot of sense, so I do like this quite a bit. Jumping up to $35, we have the Spider-Man race car and Venomized Green Goblin for $35, like I said, and this one is a doozy. Now, Green Goblin's glider does look pretty good, and I do think that Venomized Green Goblin looks pretty good, especially with the full Venomized face in this photo. But when we get to the car, man, $35 for this is really, really bad. Again, Spider-Man doesn't need a car, and if he does have a car, why is Spider-Gwen the one driving it? It just makes me beat my head against a wall. And speaking of which, when we get to the minifigs, we're getting the same Spider-Man as usual, but without the dual molded legs. The same Spider-Gwen as usual, which is pretty much perfect, so it is what it is. Then the Venomized Green Goblin, at least most of the torso is Venomized, unlike Doc Ock, so I do like that. But I go back to it, if we're going to get a brand new figure in terms of a head mold and a torso mold, there are so many other characters I would rather have. Could you imagine if this was Spider-Man versus Mr. Negative, or a Sandman variant, or Comics Lizard? Again, I'm just going to leave it there and give you some food for thought, but it really does annoy me. As we jump up, we do get a genuinely great set, and this is the Spider-Man vs. Sandman final battle from Spider-Man No Way Home. This actually will connect to the Spider-Man No Way Home final battle Statue of Liberty head, so if you buy both, you can have the final battle from Spider-Man, which admittedly is pretty cool. It's $37.99, and it comes with 3 minifigs, 2 of which are Spider-Man and Electro from the final battle, rehashes, but we get our first ever Lizard minifig. Not just our first ever movie Lizard, our first ever Lizard, period. So that is really, really awesome to finally get that. And it is 347 pieces for $38. Pretty good deal, and the fact that it connects to the No Way Home final battle, I think is a really, really good value, and I'm definitely excited about that. For the same price at $38, we have Rocket's Warbird versus Ronin. This, of course, throws back to the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which is pretty cool to get something from that all these years later, and it's got 290 pieces, so the piece count is not quite as good as the Spider-Man set from before, but we do get 2 new minifigs with Rocket and Ronin. Rocket looks pretty good in his Ravager uniform. Definitely like that a lot. But Ronin is a serious downgrade from the original Ronin that we got. If you look up photos of the original Ronin, he had his own uniquely molded headpiece. And here they just gave him the generic Palpatine hood. He does get a unique cape, which is cool. But the torso and legs are very drab compared to the original. And it's one of the rare cases where a figure has gotten worse with age. As far as the build itself, I mean, it's fine. Rocket fits in the front, and I do like the repeater gun on the side that is a stud shooter, but other than that, I don't know. I feel like this one's probably best to wait for a sale. Moving up, we get Rocket and Baby Groot, and this is just... I guess that these figures are popular because LEGO has been making them for years now, but I am definitely not the core demographic audience for this, and they've now broken a rule that I've been giving them a pass on. This comes with a Baby Groot minifigure from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he's in his little, Ravager outfit, and I think it looks good, but I've always complained that these figures and helmets and things like this don't come with a minifig, and the argument has been, oh, it's not the core audience, whatever. Well, now we've gotten one, and so it definitely bothers me. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Venom, all of those could have come with a minifig that would have made it feel a little bit better. And now that they've broken the rule going forward, I think that they really need to figure out ways to integrate minifigures into these. But it's a fine build. If you're into these, I'm sure you're really going to like it, but it's just too much nightmare fuel for me. I'm just not a huge fan, but maybe I'll be won over when I built it. Spider-Man's Mask, we have talked about on the channel already, but it's coming out January 1st, so I thought I'd briefly go over it again. This is going to be $69.99 with 487 pieces. It's fine. I'm not a huge fan of it. It does look better than I would think with the webbing and everything, but I'm not a huge fan. There's also some Spidey and His Amazing Friends sets you can check out on the channel. Figure I'd keep those in a separate video because it's kind of its own thing. Then finally, the biggest set is the XMen Xjet from X-Men 97. Say that 10 times fast. This will be $85, which is pretty wild for only 359 pieces and 4 minifigs. That comes out to about 23 cents per piece, which is really bad. The set itself does look pretty good. It's a nice update on the previous Xjet that we'd gotten back in 2015, I want to say, 2014, something like that. In the minifigs, I think that Magneto looks pretty bad. I mean, it's accurate to what we're going to get in the show, don't get me wrong. I'm just not a huge fan of what we see here. The Cyclops looks absolutely amazing, as does the Rogue minifig, especially with that white streak in her hair. And the Wolverine is interesting because it's just got yellow printing on the front of blue legs instead of using the dual molded legs from the CMF figure. But as far as I can tell, the torso appears to be pretty much the same as the CMF as with the helmet. I'm guessing the head is pretty similar, but they did get rid of the printing on the arms, so it's definitely a downgrade for Wolverine. But with that, that brings us to the finality of this video, and we've looked at every Marvel set that's coming out in January 1st of 2024. Overall, I think this is a really weak wave. There are some nice moments with like the Xjet and the Spider-Man No Way Home Sandman battle, but other than that, I think everything else here is pretty valid for criticism, and I can't say I'm too excited about any of them. Of course, I'll be reviewing them all here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.